streaming data from an API endpoint to a Blazor interface. Before we jump into an actual Web API example, we'll first use a simple console app to demonstrate the basics of data streaming. In our project, we created a models folder and added a random number model class. This will have a record ID and a random value column. Next, we added an application configuration file to our project and defined a connection string called numbers that points to our NumbersDB database. For simplicity, we're going to use a SQLite database. So, in your project's new Get packages, you'll have to install the Microsoft Data SQLite package. We added a repository folder and data access class to handle all our data access functionalities. In its constructor method, we use the configuration manager to get the connection string from our application configuration file. Then we added a test connection method simply to open and close the connection. This will create the SQLite database for us if it doesn't exist. We added a create random numbers table method to create a random numbers table if it doesn't exist. We set up a SQL statement to create a table that reflects our random number model with an auto increment ID and random value column. The next method will insert a single random number record with the specified random value. Finally, we have a method to generate a specified number of records for us. Back in the main program CS file, we instantiate a data access object and run the three methods to create the database and table and generate 10,000 records for us. If you use a free application like DB Browser, you can go open the DB file in the bin debug directory and run a SQL select on the random numbers table to see the 10,000 records. With all that database setup out of the way, we can finally focus on streaming data from the database and displaying it as the records are read one by one. So, in our data access class, we created an asynchronous method to read and stream all the records from our random numbers table. It's important that this method is asynchronous and it returns a asynchronous enumerable, not a list. Then, of course, all the database methods need to be asynchronous and awaited. Now, what's most important is what happens when we await the reader. Every time a record is read, the loop will yield and return that record to the enumerable. So whatever process is calling this method will receive the records as they are being read. Back in our program CS, we create a method that will call the data access stream all-async method. While we could have just displayed the records directly as they come in, we're doing it this way, with a separate method to demonstrate what the structure of your API's endpoint is probably going to look like. We'll demonstrate an actual API endpoint in a bit. For now, this method is also asynchronous and returns an asynchronous enumerable, because it too is going to yield the records as they come in. We do an await for each record from the data access method and yield the record to the enumerable one at a time. In the main method, we do the same thing. Think of this as your client side or front end. We await a for each again that gets the yielded record from the simulated endpoint method and display the record. Now when we run this, you'll notice it starts displaying the records immediately as they are being streamed. Okay, so now your first thought might be, what happens if I'm streaming 1 million records and the client wants to cancel the streaming process, or the connection is lost for some reason? To do that, we need a cancellation token that tells our streaming processes to stop what they're doing. We'll start at the bottom of the hierarchy with our data access class. Make a copy of the streaming method or change the existing method and add an enumerator cancellation token parameter. You'll need to add a using system runtime compiler services statement. Then add this cancellation token to every await asynchronous method. In the program CS file, we're going to do the same with our simulated endpoint method. Make a copy of it and add a cancellation token parameter. Then pass this token to the data access method in the for each loop. In the main method, we'll use a cancellation token source to create a cancellation token. We set up a count variable here so we can cancel the token after 5,000 records. In a try-catch block, we run the same code as before, but this time we pass the token to the simulated API method. We increment the count variable, and when it's 5,000, we cancel the token. An operation canceled exception should be thrown, and we display a message that the operation was canceled. What is amazing is how gracefully the .NET framework handles this. Once the token is canceled, it will stop all the await method that contains that token. When we run this, we see it gets to record 5,000 and the operation is canceled. Okay, now let's see how we do this streaming in an actual Blazor web app with an API. We create a Blazor web app, and we add an ASP.NET Web API to the solution. As is common, we named the API the solution name with a .API. Let's set up our API first. Add a models folder and create the same model class we had in the console app. We also added the numbers.db database we created in the console app. In the app settings file, we add a connection string that points to the database. Then, of course, we need to add the Microsoft.data.SQLite package to our API project. On to the repositories. We added a repository folder and a data access class. For the data access class, we'll inject the connection string into it instead of manually reading the connection string from the application settings file. Also, it needs to inherit from an interface because we'll be injecting it into our API controller. The stream all async method with its cancellation token is exactly the same as the method we used in the console version. In the same repository folder, we add the interface class that exposes the one method in our data access class. To register this service, we go to the program CS file. First, we get the connection string for the database, then we add the data access interface service, which will instantiate a data access class with the connection string. Now we can inject the data access service into the controller. Right-click the controllers folder and add a new item. Make sure to choose the API controller empty, not the MVC controller. We named our controller Random Numbers Controller. Inside the controller, we can now inject the data access service we set up. Our endpoint will be an HTTP GET method, and we simply called it stream, for lack of a better name. This endpoint will be asynchronous and return a task. This is because it's going to return a JSON string, not a random number object. This will become clearer in a second. This endpoint will also need to accept a cancellation token. Now this is where it becomes a bit tricky. We're going to return end-of-line delimited JSON objects. So in line 15, we set the response content type. If we do not do this, it will stream an entire one-line string with JSON objects to our front end. Then, we do the await for each loop to get the streaming random number objects from our data access object. Instead of simply yielding the record, we're going to serialize it to a JSON string and add an end of line to the string. Then we flush the response body. This will immediately return the JSON string to the calling front end. And that's it for our endpoint. As a reminder, notice that all the await statements must include the cancellation token. So when the user cancels or the connection fails, all the awaiting tasks can terminate. Right, let's go set up our Blazor project. First, right-click the Blazor project and make sure it's the startup project. But we also need to run the API in the background. So right-click the solution and go to Properties. Under Configure Startup Projects, select Multiple Startup Projects. Set the Blazor project to start as normal and the API project to start without debugging. We'll add a Razor page to display our list of streaming random numbers. Under Components, right-click the Pages folder and add a Razor component. Name it something like Numbers Page. Because this is a page, we'll set its navigation route with @page/numbers. We're also going to set its render mode to interactive server because we want our page to be reactive. If you're using a WebAssembly hosting model, you can set this to interactive WebAssembly. To add the page to the menu, we go to the nav menu .razor file under Layout and copy and change one of the menu links to point to our new Numbers page. We'll run it just to test if our menu link goes to the Numbers page. Notice when you run it, it creates two hosts, one for the Blazor project and one for the API. Right, so now we need to create a service that will stream the random numbers from our API's endpoint. The common practice is to put this code in a service and not bog down the UI page with this code. Also, this way it can be used by other pages. We added a services folder and created a number services class. We will inject an HTTP client into this service, which is used to connect to our API. And like any service, it needs to have an interface we can use in our Blazor UI page. We got one asynchronous method here. It will return random number objects and also take a cancellation token we can pass down to the API endpoint. First, we create a response object. This connects to the stream endpoint in our API and also checks that there's an OK response from the API. The ensure success status code will throw an exception if the response is not a code 200 OK. You can either do a try-catch block here and deal with the exception, or just let it bubble up to the calling UI page to deal with. Next, we set up a stream from the response. Here we say read the content of the response as a stream. Then we create the actual stream reader for the stream. In the while loop, we say continue while it's not the end of the stream and there's no cancellation request. Inside the loop, we first get the string line from the API endpoint. Remember, we set this up to return a JSON string of the object. Then we deserialize it into an actual random number object. Finally, if the object is not null, we immediately yield it to the enumerator so the random number object can be consumed by the calling UI method. We add the interface class with the number services method signature. And of course, we register the service in our program CS file so we can use it in the Blazor page. Notice we set it up as an HTTP client and set the base address to the API's local host port. This is where your API is running in the background. To find what port your API is running on, go to the API project's properties launch settings. With everything in place, we can go develop our UI page. At the top, we'll display the total number of records. Then we'll have two buttons, one to start the streaming and one to stop it. They will call their respective methods, stream numbers and cancel stream. If there are any records in the numbers list, we display the list. We also added a status message for when the process is canceled. In the code section, we declare the variables and methods used. For the cancel stream method, we need a cancellation token source. When this method executes, it sets the status message, cancels the token, and refreshes the page with the state has changed method. Now, before we can do the streaming, we'll need access to our streaming service. At the top, inject the number services interface into the page. The first part in the stream numbers method creates a cancellation token. Then we initialize to count a numbers list. We're also going to use a batch technique. Even though Blazor is reactive and will update only the part of the page that changes, having to update the page every time a new random number is added to the list is overkill. We can say, for example, only update the page once 10 numbers have been added to the list, or when the streaming is complete or canceled. In a try-catch block, we start to await a for each loop that calls our service's stream numbers async with the cancellation token. Then we increment the count of numbers streamed. Add the number to our list and increment the batch count. Next, just for testing purposes, we put in some code to force a cancellation. If we streamed 100 numbers, then cancel the stream and break out of the loop. We also need to check our batch. If the batch count is bigger or equal to our batch size, then reset the batch count and refresh the page. In the catch block, we could do something extra if the operation was canceled, but in this scenario, the cancel stream method is already refreshing the page. In the finally block, we do another page refresh just in case the last numbers in the batch was not displayed yet. Let's run this and see our streaming in action. Thank you for watching our video. For more tutorials on C#, hit subscribe and click the reminder. Give us a like so the video can be visible to more people.